Okay, I am 100% sure no one has ever heard of this game. It's Super Mario Bros. For the Sega Genesis. I know what you're thinking, Super Mario Bros. For the Sega Genesis. What is wrong with these people? Now, when I first heard of this, I thought it would be decent because one of my favourite game series on one of my favourite consoles. But it was one of my least favourite games on the console in the end. But the main problem I have with this game is the difficulty. Like, compared to the other Mario games, it's very, very difficult. Because, this is one of the two 2D Mario platformers I haven't beat. The other one being Yoshi's Island. But I hate that game, so I have a right not to beat it. To be honest, I don't like this game either. This game's terrible. But even though it's terrible, I still kinda like it, just because they tried something new. Well, they tried to put Mario on the Sega Genesis console. They failed, but it's a lesson. You should see what they did to Sonic when they put him on the NES. I'll get to that another time. You think this is bad? This isn't the only Nintendo game released for the Sega Genesis without Nintendo's approval. There was also Donkey Kong Country. I'm sure this doesn't look too difficult, but you can only really see how difficult it is once you've played it. Especially Bowser. When you fight Bowser, he is difficult. Compared to Bowser in the original Mario games, this guy is... Am I the only one who thinks them Koopas remind you of Medusa heads from Castlevania? That's obviously where they got the idea for them from. Look. When you see that, do you think of Medusa head or Koopa Trooper? I'm gonna guess Medusa head. Another bad thing is the jumps are just awkward. The way he jumps is just weird. It definitely... And that's just weird. And the way he stands, this whole game is just a mess. I bet they didn't put any effort into making this game. They really didn't. In my opinion, this is one of the worst Mario games ever made. Even though it wasn't made by Nintendo, I can still count it for that. Bloody hell. Some of the enemy placements just get harsh in this level, and in level 3. Like, I only got past the first world once. I don't know anyone who could beat this game. To me, I don't know, it's probably not that difficult to most people, but I just find this game extremely difficult because, look, the enemy placement is just retarded, and Medusa heads, once you play Castlevania, we can't remove them like that. I might talk about Castlevania later, but the weirdest part about it, to be honest, is that it's not a bad game, but I just think it's way too difficult than it should have been. Like, I understand why all games back when this was released were challenging, but when this was played, well, since I only played it today, that was the first time I played it, I just found it more difficult than any Mario game I've ever played. I can beat the Lost Levels, so I'm gonna say it. The Lost Levels is easier than this game. And look at this! If you've never played this game, would you think you could stand on them? Yes? Well, you should, because you should be able to stand on... Look. See, like, the first world is more difficult than most things in this game. Just look at Bowser. Just look at Bowser, and you can shoot fire by pressing A without even a power-up. See what I mean? See what I mean on this fight? This fight is just challenging. It's just mainly that he takes way too many hits compared to Bowser in other Mario games. How many hits do you... When you fight Bowser, how many hits do you expect him to take? 3? Exactly! That's how many hits he should take. This is probably one of the hardest Bowser fights I've played. By far, probably the hardest Bowser fight that I've played. Keyword being that I've played, I haven't played every single Bowser fight in the history of the world. As I said, I never beat Yoshi's Island Super Mario World 2. Like, this fight is pure impossible to beat without save states. Even with save states, I find it difficult. If you had more of these fireball things, it wouldn't be so difficult, would it? And it's just awkward, like, sometimes you can throw up these boxes and most of the time you can't. Just confusing. Like, the rest of this game is confusing. Like, I'd like to see a comment saying that you like this game. If you post a comment saying you like this and you have valid proof that you enjoy it and can beat it, I will be very ashamed of you for even wanting to play this terrible, terrible game. To be honest, this is worse than Wrecking Crew, and I hate Wrecking Crew so much. Wrecking Crew is probably one of my least favourite NES games. I don't know why, I just have a big hatred for Wrecking Crew, especially since to be honest, I never really had an NES. Well, to be honest, I didn't really have any. I grew up with PS1, which I had. But let me just show you this. I want to see what happens when you get game over. Probably say, you got game over, fuck you up the S, man. Heck. Apparently, okay, that is pretty cool. Well, that's probably the best thing about the game. And you know something's bad if the best thing about it is the game over screen. Which, if you play this game, you'll be looking forward to the game over screen because it's so bad.